Hey, Ben, I may have committed some light treason here on Veacher, please. A vile visit to Bajor. My name is Joseph.
And I'm correct in understanding that the records of all these interactions are going to be expunged, right? Okay. I'm your co-host, Peter.
Peter, we have a viewer mail that I want to review. And I neglected it last week, so my apologies to Alex who sent it in. Alex is a consistent email interactor, probably our only one that only interacts via email. Shout out to
Old
Jamie.
school, I like it.
Yeah, I like it. Alex was actually the person who also recommended we do Hellraiser, which we definitely agreed was a good time.
Amazing time.
So, he had a suggestion that we should first possibly review the Orville. Peter and I have talked about that. We're actually favoring right now, thinking Babylon 5 rather than the Orville for our next go, but we're still got a lot of DS9 left to consider. So, but thank you. Like, we have talked about that. And also suggested the 2 seasons of Prodigy, specifically because of it's the best Voyager continuation you're probably ever going to see.
Until there was Across the Unknown, which I
That's
guess
true.
Isn't really a
You make your own
continuation.
Voyager continuation.
Mm-hmm. Without dirty Netflix money.
And he's not the only one to suggest this on the basis of, there is actually some good Voyager material within it. And I also think that some other legacy characters show up in that, at least briefly. But we're probably likely to do that for Patreon, since this isn't the only person that suggested it to us, and we don't really have a plan for our next piece of Patreon content. So,
well, at what point do we get to watch First Contact?
We get to watch that next season. So that's going to happen during season 5.
Okay.
So we got some time before we're going to be able to uncork that one. So I think we're favoring the idea of like some kind of broad Prodigy discussion. Like we might like trying to shoot through enough of it to like get to the Voyager pieces and then, talk about the show, talk about the characters and scratch that itch. So I don't think we'll do like an episode by episode review of the show. It is a kid's show. I think that would not leave us with much content, but thank you, Alex, for emailing us. Thanks again for all of the suggestions. You mentioned Hellraiser sequels as a possibility, because Hellraiser 3 has Terry Farrell in it, for example. Much obliged. So we are definitely keen on revisiting more horror. We enjoyed doing Reanimator. We enjoyed doing Hellraiser. So we'll do that as well. So thanks again, Alex. Appreciate anyone who wants to email us at veacherplease@gmail.com. We'll shout you out. We'll talk about what it is that you sent in. And on that front, and with that done, I think we need to get to the episode. Peter, what did we watch this week?
Season 4, episode 12, Paradise Lost. First aired January 8th, 1996. So probably, Voyager is going. So this is probably the first episode of Star Trek in 96. Story by Ronald Moore. Teleplay by Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt Wolf. Interesting. I don't think I've seen that configuration yet.
Yeah, that exact combo. Last episode, Homefront, did come out on New Year's Day. So technically these 2 episodes are the first episodes of the new year in Star Trek.
What a way to start a new era of Trek. Directed by Reza Badawi.
In Universe Day 2372. Ira Stephen Bear had apparently a post-it note in his office for the rest of his time doing Deep Space Nine. It says, "Remember Paradise Lost." And he put it there because he felt like he and Robert Hewitt Wolf and Ron Moore wrote a banger, and then they had no fucking money in which to deliver on it. We didn't really talk about the production details of this 2-parter too much in our prior episodes about Homefront because we just had too much. We got a lot of content to go through here too, but I want to touch on it a little bit. This was supposed to be the end of season 3, beginning of season 4 cliffhanger 2-parter. Homefront ends season 3. Paradise Lost starts season 4. The studio said, "Don't do that. We don't want to do another like cliffhanger circumstance beginning ending. Like we did that too much with TNG. Let's like try to tie things off, but like tease things to come rather than make it a direct cliffhanger."
I'm squinting my eyes and cocking my head right now. So what?
You got to think it's a syndicated television. When you do that, it's hard to get people to consistently engage with the material over a long gap, right? Like they pulled it off with Best of Both Worlds in a way that's quite famous, but it didn't work every other time they did it.
It's the same conversation we always have. It's who is watching this TV show 4 seasons in, 3 seasons in. They're already asking you to remember so much and bring so much. You are pushing this. You're pushing this format to its the absolute extreme that the specs could allow. Right?
Yeah. Already they're going to go past that limit in massive ways. I think that's going to ultimately hurt its viewership.
At the time before,
yeah,
I think
we've decided to have this discussion. The show is way up ahead of its time,
and that's the byline of Deep Space Nine is ahead of its time.
Yeah, and we're seeing them reach the probably capacity limit of what television at the time was really capable of doing in serialized
linear television.
Yeah,
and you do not have video on demand. And when did they start producing DVDs at Deep Space Nine? I wonder, because that had to help.
2000 and 2001, I want to say.
Oh, and this thing wraps by what?
2000.
Not too little, too late.
It's just a little bit too far. The DVD era is what made Deep Space Nine popular. I think I've discussed this a little bit already. The show was not hot with Trek boomers. It picked up a millennial audience, but a lot of it didn't watch it at the time because a lot of us were too young to really appreciate it. I'm 13 when this is coming out. I'm not getting it, right? I'm not understanding it. But when I watched it in college, I thought it was the best fucking thing I saw. And it was like 5 years after it was on, right?
DVDs came too late for Deep Space Nine. DVDs came the perfect time for Battlestar Galactica.
Yep.
Which then there's the first season and you get whatever numbers, and then the diehards buy the DVDs. They loan the DVDs. People go, oh shit, what's this? And now you have a way to energize the public into watching your show and actively getting this back catalog to push forward to current and drive numbers.
If this show came out now, it would be an incredible banger. Like, people would be all over this. This would be the hottest show on television. It's like at that level of capacity when it's really hitting, right?
If people could give Star Trek a chance.
Sure. I am taking us into an alternate universe where people would be willing to give Star Trek a chance. But I think that's there. Did you see what happened with Night of the Seven Kingdoms?
Yeah.
HBO released that it's the most popular first season
I did not see
they've ever made. Yeah.
Say that again.
Most popular first season of anything they've ever made.
Wow.
Period. All HBO shows. First, most popular first season of anything they've ever made.
And you know why?
Yeah.
Good word of mouth.
You got it. It picked up a huge audience of people who then talked about it, and then people were then decided to go try it. Now, I think they were incredibly helped by it being 6 episodes and 3 hours and 45 minutes of a runtime, so you didn't take much to invest in it. That's a huge part that we're not talking about. This is a much deeper serialized television experience that's going to require more investment, but the point is the opportunity is there if people will like your shit and we'll talk about it.
It's
even an IP that has undergone such systemic damage as Game of Thrones related material.
Yeah, but everybody saw Game of Thrones, or at least portions. Everybody understands what that universe is about. So you've got a built-in understanding of the lore by a jaded viewership base. And I guarantee you the number one selling factor on that show, beyond the fact that it's only 6 episodes, was people saying like, it's a happy story. It's a fun, feel-good story. You can have access to this rich world of Westeros and the Game of Thrones, and you do not have to pay for it with emotional torture.
Well, I mean, happy with caveats, right? Grim things happen, dark things happen, but it's a story about a hero who's doing the right thing, who ultimately is vindicated in his actions, which for Game of Thrones is a happy story. It's a heroic journey, which is rare.
But it's lighthearted, and some what happens is the one dude's like the hand or whatever, like that's
spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Well, listen, I've been singing this thing's praise.
Yeah.
What would Deep Space Nine do now? I don't know. What's Deep Space Nine doing back in 1996? They're just throwing gasoline all over the place and shit's popping off on fire.
And Ira Stephen Bear regretted not having money for this episode. And because it got pushed to the middle of the season because they didn't want to do it as a cliffhanger. They didn't want to do it as an opener because they wanted to introduce all the Klingon stuff and kind of like throw that into the mix and introduce Worf. So that ended up being their focus.
Well, real quick,
so this got pushed to mid-season and had no money, and they regretted that because they felt like this was probably the best story they told of the season, which it was, by the way.
I don't know. This season has had Way of the Warrior. The story in that is phenomenal. Yeah. And I want to say, like, this would have been a really good cliffhanger from 3 to 4, but the end of season 3, the changeling diplomat plant on the Defiant trying to invoke a war with these, which I like that Zenkethi shout out in this.
Oh, yeah. They tie it all up. Like, they make it all work. There's no problems with this script aside from, I think, one goofy ass scene.
But the season, what was the season 3? The end of season 3 called?
The Adversary, I think.
Was it? I think The Adversary. That was a great way to end that season and transition into season 4 and make these episodes able to hit the conspiracy vibe notes that they needed. And this is an amazing story. Some cool shit happens, like CGI wise. But
you can see where they cut it off, though, right? Like they had one short sequence they could do, and then they're like, the fight keeps going. Like,
I didn't need it.
Eyes looking back and forth. I guess they fought to a standstill, everybody.
And I did not need to see any of it. And I almost... It's the Star Trek formula that wins. We don't have enough money to do it fancy, so instead we're going to have to rely on good actors in a room with a table and let them tell the story. And I think the suspense that is built with Leighton and Sisko in Leighton's office while the Defiant and the Lakota are getting into it was more enjoyable to watch than hokey mid-90s CGI, which was still pretty cool for the little bit we did get. But like, I don't know what they wanted to do with this thing. Overall, what we actually got was amazing because it's good actors in a room doing great acting.
I went into the No Peters Allowed part of the Discord, and while I was watching this, and I said, I forgot what a great Vampire the Masquerade episode this is. This is some straight up, like, you and I have run this game that Sisko is running in this episode, where he is attempting to get to the bottom of a conspiratorial nonsense without tipping his hand. And walking people into traps, rhetorical traps, over and over and over again. That's actually the best part of this episode, is watching him. He figures out at the very beginning in the teaser, I think I know what's happening, but I have to position myself in such a way that I get people to confess to things without me giving away that I'm not in on it.
Yep. I'm not going to ask you the questions of what happened here. I'm going to criticize your performance in it and put you in a position where you have to justify my antagonism to your end. And then in the process of that, get you to essentially brag.
Or go to someone who's my superior in the case of the Starfleet Academy Commandant and suggest that there was a mess and get them to confess to the fact it is a mess and to tell me to do something illegal. Like that scene at the beginning, I think, is my favorite, right? The teaser begins with Odo and Sisko talking about the sabotage of the power arrays, and that this is causing more questions because it was so perfectly handled, yet then the Jem'Hadar don't show up. It's days later. And as Odo's reviewing all the information, he brings up Red Squad, which of course, thanks to Nog, Sisko knows who they are. And there's a suspicious transporter log of them being pulled back about a half hour after all of the power went down. Odo thinks, well, maybe they were trying to get him out. But Sisko notes, actually, they were deployed a couple hours later. So why would they be pulled back? This doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, let's ask some questions. The setup is...
I want to say, too, real quick, including Odo in this Earth plot without bringing anyone else from Deep Space Nine. Like, I get the reasons they did it, because they wanted this to be, you want to give a lot of screen time to Leighton. You want to give a lot of screen time to his dad.
Yeah.
You know, we get a little bit of Colin Meaney in here for fun, but the rest of the cast isn't there. Odo is there as, hey, I need to fully breathe life into this shapeshifter threat so you can see with your own eyes to believe it.
He's also there because he's Detective Odo, and now like it's paying off
big time. Like his eye of scrutiny is something that, you know, you would have a, I don't want to say hard time with Worf being the one to find, but like this is right up his wheelhouse. This is in his character Bible, that this guy has a proven track record of going after Quark, chasing paper trails when the death, what was the one with Kira? Yeah, and they were hunting down the old Cardassian co-conspirators or cooperators or whatever.
Yeah, when he did the noir story, basically, yes.
So great value add out of Odo through all of this.
I love that he's standing away and back from the view screen, right? So he's listening to the entire conversation. Very casual way to do it, right? We don't have to over-explain what's happening. Is Sisko is calling up the commandant of Starfleet Academy and is telling him, do you know that this record exists? And just walking him into it, right? It's a classic tactic. You know what the suspicious thing is. You have your theory as to why the suspicious thing exists. So what do you want to do? I'm going to go and I'm going to present the information in a neutral fashion to the person that it affects. I am not going to betray a confusion about its existence. I'm going to state that it exists. And I'm going to allow the fact I'm taking this neutral position to see if this superior of mine, right? He's got admiral bars on, right? It looks like he's a rear admiral, will walk into telling me what's going on by thinking I am informing him of this because I'm in on it. And it's perfect. It works out perfectly. That's exactly what happens. He's like, I need to get on a secure line, comes back. Okay, I need you to delete that. Okay, now you've told me you want me to do something illegal. I can't betray that I know that you just told me to do something illegal, because if you know I reacted like that, then you know that I don't know. But I want you to know that you think I know, and therefore you can confide in me the additional information about what's going on. So it's like, oh yes, of course, I'll take care of that right away. And then compliment Red Squad to get him to be casual, to like start to betray some confidences about this conspiracy that now Sisko knows exists for certain. And by the end of the conversation, already has a partial admission from somebody that something dirty has gone on, that they were used for specific purpose for a mission. And this is all becoming more suspicious. It is a perfect Vampire the Masquerade moment of interrogation.
It's the fact that the assault from the Jem'Hadar doesn't come that kind of puts some of this other stuff in a different light, because it opens, I think, with his dad reopening the restaurant.
Yeah, that's part of the teaser too, very briefly. Like, oh, we're going to reopen and feed the Starfleet officers, I guess.
Jake's like, I don't know. You sure you want to do this? It's only been 4 days since the power went out in that time. I'm like, wow, to think that a power outage could cause snow days, keep the kids at home, a shelter in place order. But yeah, like if you're kind of holding your breath waiting for the Jem'Hadar to show up, like that. I guess when I was watching the first one, I wasn't looking at it like the Jem'Hadar are going to attack us right now so much as we are going to start terrorizing you and try to destroy the Federation ideal and let you guys watch yourself. But yeah, in the moment, the upfront threat should be, we saw the wormhole activity. We have concerns about
they have cloaked ships. They could be coming right now. Yeah.
It's also interesting looking around his dad's restaurant and just seeing like what is like, there is very clearly Tabasco and some sort of other hot sauce on these tables.
Yeah.
There's space hot sauce out there.
Yeah.
There's real coffee. Later on, when Sisko is when he's brooding, he gets a bottle of milk out. Like, so cows are still being captive and milked, and
yeah, still real stuff out there, man. Joseph Sisko's got all of it. So
The idea that Red Squad is a secret club. How do you feel about that? Because my impression was that Red Squad was the same thing that Nick Locarno was in with Wesley Crusher, essentially, right?
It's Nova Squad. That was a flight crew. So they're
Okay.
that was a demonstration flight crew. So like Blue Angels. Okay. So Red Squad is supposed to be elite cadets that are being trained to do, we'll call it dirty work, I think is the intention. To say, we'll take, this is not an uncommon tactic amongst modern day clandestine services, to observe people who are in service academies that would seem to be particularly well oriented towards clandestine work and ensuring that they are trained sufficiently to take on that work as part of their duties to the state. Being very general with that, but that is something that does take place, and they're kind of trying to recreate that here, where there is a elite cadre of people who are more militaristic and willing to do dirt. This may be a new innovation from the sound of it, that perhaps this is something that's come along as a consequence of Starfleet being under more military pressure, and wouldn't be a surprise given that the commandant of the academy is evidently one of Leighton's conspirators of like,
Yeah.
I need to start building a capacity to have elite space professionals who can be elite CIA agents, and do dirt and not ask questions.
That's my question through this was Red Squad a Leighton initiative? This guy who, spoiler alert, he's a badmiral, allegedly. I foresee a future where I'm going to have a military coup, and my vision for what Earth needs to be is going to require some heavy parts treason. And now, like, I'm going to get the commandant on board. I'm going to get this Red Squad going for some dirty. Like, what stands out to me about Red Squad is you've got these impressionable cadets who are, I want to join Starfleet, but I have not formed the bonds with other people in Starfleet to fully absorb the morality of Starfleet as a people organization. I'm just looking at it as a construct, right? Like, what's the way I'm looking at phrase? Like, I'm naive enough to believe that the ends can always justify the means. I haven't gotten the dirt under my fingernails on away team missions to understand the heart and spirit of what Starfleet needs to be. Because that's really what this whole thing, like the end of this is like.
They don't have like the context, right? It's the perfect time to grab somebody to indoctrinate them into doing the dirty work. Because they don't have, they're willing, have such a naive sense of duty, that if somebody of sufficient power and prestige comes to them and says, this is the duty I need you to do, trust me, it's okay that you're doing this because I'm telling you, you're just going to believe it, but they also have the capacity to do what needs to be done. And that has real world parallels. This is how clandestine services recruit agents, is you get them young, you put them into this position and indoctrinate them sufficiently such that they're willing to do things that are morally gray to black for what is supposed to be good aims.
The greater good.
Correct.
I remember the CIA recruitment booth at Ohio State at a career fair, and I was like, let me talk. And I was like, whoa, no, I cannot.
I went to school in DC and worked on Capitol Hill. I assure you, I've seen things.
Well, my point further in this is that if you've got basically the entirety of the Lakota at your disposal, and the Lakota is his capital ship, right? That's what Leighton uses as his command ship as needed. You have the captain, or at least the incoming captain. I'd be curious who the current captain was that they were replaced with Leah Brahms.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you've got all these people. Why would you be using cadets to sabotage the network, which ultimately gives a story opportunity for Sisko to get in on this conspiracy? But you have seasoned officers who are exposed and I think would be a lot less likely to agree to, like, yes, sabotaging Earth's power grid and making us completely vulnerable is not something I should be doing.
Which
as
is
a Starfleet
why
officer.
the Commandant, like, that conversation is so revealing, because he says, like, I wasn't sure about Leighton's plan of using them, but they were exemplary. And it's like, it betrays exactly what you're saying. Like, someone like Bentine, Leia Brahms, right? I don't want to keep calling her Leia Brahms because she's a very specific character to this story, but Bentine is actually not willing to commit, ultimately. She's the person closest to Leighton. She's just got command of a starship because of Leighton. She owes everything to Leighton. And even she's like, I'm not actually going to commit to what it is that you need me to do to make your plan work, because she has too much context as a Starfleet officer. She knows too much. She's experienced too much. She has too much of her own moral center. She is not willing to do that level of dirt. Leighton at some level knows, I can't bring these Starfleet officers in to sabotage global operations. I have to use these raw recruits that have the capacity to do so, but are willing to do what they're told and not ask questions, because they don't fucking know anybody. And they don't have any further context of a Starfleet career that teaches them exactly the sorts of things that Sisko is in the story basically to represent. And ultimately Bentine too, who backs off and says, like, I'm going to let this all fall apart because I'm not going to kill these people. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you're exactly correct. Is the story doesn't have to tell you that in explicit language. It's revealing that through its story, which is its brilliance, right?
I'm also curious how much of Leighton's conspiracy would ultimately have been aware that Leighton sabotaged the power grid.
Right. He was trying to keep that secret, I think. Like,
yeah.
That was never supposed to be known, even to his conspirators.
And that's a great justification for them. Like, oh shit, things are getting worse. What we are doing is necessary.
Yeah, like this. I know we're talking about a lot out of order, but I like Leighton's conspiracy is so well handled and so well constructed, as in terms of like what a real life coup looks like. Okay, you're the chief of Starfleet operations. What kind of remit does that give you? Security on Starfleet vessels, security on Starfleet installations. What does that mean I can do? I can move people around. I can place people who throughout, of course, my career that I have worked with, that I have promoted, who owe me things and see me as a mentor and a leader and a confidant, into positions of power. And then I can tell them, guys, we're going to have to do something. Trust me. And you've put everyone into position that is willing to trust you. This is how coups work, right? When you see coups happen in the real world, it's not typically 20,000 men march on the Capitol. It's 500 young officers, make a run for the fucking brass ring, and they get there. And the thing is once they get there, you can't get rid of them unless you're willing to commit to civil war. And a lot of times, no one wants to, because they have enough control over enough power already that it's better if we find some kind of compromise to work within the system that we're in. And if you have a coup with someone like a Leighton, who's one of the key leaders of Starfleet, who has put into position everyone who's necessary to kind of freeze himself into power long enough that all the other captains or admirals that might disagree kind of have to just make peace with what's happening and say, well, I guess Leighton has a point. This could be really bad. This is all temporary. We can talk ourselves into this, because Leighton has already taken enough that that's the path of least resistance. And his desire to use these recruits, because again, he's hiding from everyone, not just his inner conspiracy, but also he has to hide this from everyone else. That conspiracy then has to convince that this all happened because of the Dominion. This is all happening for a legitimate reason. And this inner part of the conspiracy has to remain a steadfast secret. So Sisko finding this information is the worst thing that could have happened to Leighton. This is the thing that will destroy his entire coup, not because anything about the threat is not true. Leighton is correctly assessing the threat. He is not unreasonable in his actions, which is what makes him a fantastic antagonist in this episode. He hates what he's doing. He sees it. You see it on his face. And when he imprisons Sisko, when he has all these conversations where he's justifying himself to him because he knows he's losing the argument, and he doesn't like that he's losing the argument. But, at the same time, like, he goes too far in what he attempts to do to realize what he thinks is the only possible solution. And the conspiracy falling apart and the coup falling apart as a consequence also makes sense. It should fail. It's not the correct way to handle this.
And all that is to say, hats off to the writers, because I can't even ask a question. If this was Enterprise, if this was Voyager, I could say, when's the last time you saw a air quotes, a bad guy written this well, but that's really the playbook of Deep Space Nine is let's take the bad guys and let's make them completely defensible.
Yeah. Let's make their position 100% understandable.
You got that with Dukat. To a certain extent, you got that with Kai Wynn. Like, she's a miserable piece of shit, but like you can see why she's doing these things. Like there's solid ground under her feet for the steps she's taking in a lot of cases, and sometimes she's just being a bitch about things. But
so Robert Foxworth is the actor who plays Leighton, by the way. He played Velas, who is the head of the Vulcans in the Forge Awakening in Kirishira. So, he's
got that voice, man.
Yeah. And so he plays two corrupt planetary leaders in his Star Trek career. And he's just super good at it. His, like, that square jaw, those eyes that he has, he carries that presence super well.
We've gone through a lot of admirals. We've gone through a lot of crazy admirals. This guy's standing out because, yes, he's bad, but he's not crazy.
Correct.
He's perhaps ahead of his time. His fatal flaw is that he's not willing to trust the Federation, the Roddenberry ideal.
No.
And, that's going to be what Sisko, at least at this point, is still clinging to, and that sees him through on this.
Leighton suffers from a very human flaw, and that is he sees his way as the only way forward. And then rather than accepting the limits that are being placed on him, he believes the limits are the problem. His heart is in the right place. That's the tragedy. He wants to save Earth. He wants to save the Federation. He sees the Dominion as a potential genocidal threat to the entirety of the Alpha Quadrant, and he is correct in all of these things. And he gets no argument from Sisko. Now, the whole first episode is about basically them agreeing on the principle. But, like any man in power, he is tempted by the thought that perhaps he knows better than everyone else. And because he feels he knows better than everyone else, maybe taking action that others would find important, but he knows is necessary, is justifiable.
He's not willing to have the loud legal battle of, we need to go further. I want to push this more. I'm going to threaten my resignation. I'm going to make a big stink out of this, because in the end, he doesn't want to give up the power. Like, you overplay your hand in an argument, you become a problem, and the power goes, okay, you're being too loud. You've voiced your concerns. You've tried to push this as hard as you can within the letter of the law. And at this point now, we're not on the same page, and I need to find someone who is. So like that's the gambit to him, is I can either potentially sacrifice my career through protest to really try to champion my cause, or I can threaten my career with a military coup and what I think is actually accomplish the thing I'm setting out to. So great character on all of that. I love all of the detective work and not interrogation, but like interview and basically police detective work that you see out of Odo and that you see out of Sisko through all this, against the backdrop of what's happening on Earth. And I like the scene with Sisko and his dad, where his dad's just like, no big deal, here's my blood now.
Yeah, well, it's a great moment to show the attitude of humans having changed, right? Joseph Sisko was the guy who was adamantly against this, but he, despite his adamantly being against it, has been cowed by the potential threat sufficiently that he's willing to accept it. Jar Shinro even says the same thing. Like, these measures are now extremely popular. People feel much more safe with all of this escalated Starfleet presence with their phaser rifles on every corner. And I would be torpedoing the entirety of my political career if I were to remove them. And having just briefly Joseph Sisko as the avatar of that to say, well, yeah, I was against it, but it turns out the threat's real. So, I mean, screw it.
That
take
was
my blood, I guess.
Before they knocked the power. Like, that is such a powerful scene, because the last time was such a powerful scene. That conversation with his dad rocked Ben Sisko to his core. It was like, I am doubting everything. And essentially, he flipped Ben from Camp Leighton over to Camp Roddenberry ideals.
Yeah.
And then for Ben to go back and be like, well, what the fuck, dude? Now you're just rolling over and going with this. I think that's, fuck, we need to stop this.
Yeah.
Because
there's a perfect way to pair those two moments.
Of now,
like, I know how bad this can be.
the real damage we're doing, where even the enlightened space people of tomorrow who did not sign up for any of this and were resistant to I don't want to say fascism, but like who were resistant to this military first ideal and this sacrifice of liberty and vision. For my dad to be super cool with this, like, we're going to do damage real fast. And then you pair that with, we're like, this is a one-way street and we need to start pumping the brakes right the fuck now. Because this is, as a Starfleet officer, this is not what I signed up for. I signed up to protect the Federation, and I'm seeing that we are damaging the Federation. We got to push on this. The sore thumb in this episode for me, and we all know what the answer is, but as Sisko starts to realize the scope of this conspiracy, it basically encompasses all of the top brass, more or less, that he has access to, or at least as it's presented to us on Earth. Like, where's the reach out to Picard? You know?
I don't think there's like a line to do so, right? Like, he goes to the president, right? Like, to say, you need to get Leighton's resignation. Like, this is what he's doing. And it's not the whole brass. It's a pretty tight conspiracy. The idea is that Leighton is stepping in, and, the Nechaevs or the Admiral Ross, or who we haven't met yet, but the other like admirals are not necessarily in on it.
Admiral Paris,
right? Like, none of them are in on it. And the idea is that he steps in.
Know of.
He takes power, and because he can't control them the way he's controlling others, that they will see it as fait accompli and accept that this is what has to happen. And then, well, we're all part of the same team here. We're all Starfleet admirals, so we're all going to work together to make this happen, right? So it's not that it's the whole of the top brass. It's just the people with which Sisko is presently stuck with, because he has been brought in as a patsy, essentially. Like, Leighton brought him in but didn't tell him what was going on, so he could use his credibility to sell the next part of the plan.
Yeah. Look, I'm just saying, if I was in Sisko's role, I would assume, like, I don't know who I can talk to on Earth because Leighton has access to all these people. Who's the biggest badass in my phone?
Who's the realest man I know?
It's the guy that that gave me my fucking orders, who, by the way, last I checked Starfleet records, this is precisely his fucking wheelhouse, is dispelling Starfleet conspiracies.
Well, I think like the Enterprise E isn't launched yet, so it's like
which means he's probably potentially on Earth somewhere. Like, listen, the guy's not doing anything else. Like, get him off the fucking horse and get him back into Star. You can't do it and you shouldn't do it, because we need to build more Sisko credibility here, and it's time for him to get these marks on his belt. I love the confrontation with the president and the horror and complete rejection to the notion that a Starfleet officer could be capable of this. And
before we do that, just briefly, the scene that predates that is that Nog shows up at the restaurant. Nog resists giving Sisko names of people who are in Red Squad, and then he's like, excuse me, hold on, let me just get a little bit of Death Row Sisko out, just to taste, just a little bit there, cadet. And he's like, yes, sir. And then they bring in this guy, Riley Shepard. Riley Shepard shows up again, by the way. Same actor. Same character.
Oh, really? They don't give him the Nick Locarno. He doesn't show up.
No, he shows up in another episode later on. Like, the continuity is so good, like, even this Jamoke cadet gets reused.
Cadet teeth.
Yeah, cadet chin. It's a classic walk him into it, right? All right, now I'm going to take a position of authority. I'm going to interrogate you by telling you screwed up. That way you're going to reveal to me everything because you think I know. And now I know things, and I'm going to calm you down. So now you're going to confess more because you think like you've brought me onto your side. Classic interrogation technique without the person even know they're being interrogated. Now he has everything, right? Mm-hmm. The point is, before he goes to talk to Jar Shinryo, the audience and Sisko and Odo all know the conspiracy is real. Red Squad did this shit. Leighton is behind it. And then when they go to Jar Shinryo, that's why his Like, I cannot conceive of this even being possible. Is such a stark contrast because we know it is possible, and now we're kind of getting this whole, they're trying to convince this person who represents the entirety of this system that it's true, and how hard that's going to be.
Again, I love the fact that the president has Leighton's back the degree he does.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all too often in media or other things, you're like, hey, here's a little bit of stuff in a conspiracy that makes sense. And people are like, oh my God, how are we going to deal with this? Like, again, the throwback here, I think, to like season 1 Star Trek, Roddenberry, this alien view of humanity that has evolved to a point that, you know, you and I would consider ridiculous, like that Starfleet to Earth are essentially superheroes. These guys are the Avengers, right?
Yeah.
They always have the best interest in mind. And I don't know, maybe we've been like soured to that because we see all the bad admirals from TNG and before, and like maybe that's like the secret is like on Earth everybody is good, but then you get into deep space and you're like, no, I'm gonna be crazy. Maybe Starfleet's done a great job of like sweeping all those guys under the rug. But I really like that. Yeah, he's like, this is ridiculous. I need hard evidence. And then you see a little bit of personal self-service in that. It's like, even if what you're saying is true, like this is polling very well. Dudes with phaser rifles who knew that would have sold as well as it does with the public. Like, I can't just jerk the cord out on this. And I'm sure they don't get into like explaining it, but like, how does this guy end up walking this all back? Do you have to like super publicly expose Leighton as a...
Yeah, that's what actually happens. I mean, it's not discussed in the show, so I'm not spoiling anything, but there's a suggestion that this is all public. People talk about it like everyone knows what happened.
That's going to hurt the Federation too. Like, not only do you have to worry about the Dominion changeling threat, now you got to worry about your own people being crazy and doing stuff. So it's like, what a rough time to be a Federation citizen.
So they go to Inro to tell him like, this is what's happening, you know, and they even like frame it like, we're not saying that Leighton isn't patriotic. It's that because of his patriotism, he is thinking he needs to take control. They say, if we bring you evidence, will you act? He says, yes, unequivocally. Unfortunately, quite expectantly, perhaps, Leighton has spies within that office that inform on the fact that Odo and Sisko went to talk to the president alone, which is enough of a suspicion that Leighton knows that he knows something that he's not supposed to, because he knows the guy, right? Like, the whole reason he brought him in is that he trained him up and has been his rabbi in his career to this point. When he tries to kind of put his conspiracy together at his father's restaurant later, Nog comes back and says, I can't fucking find Riley Shepard. I can't find anyone from Red Squad. No one knows what happened. The rumor is they were sent on some training mission. And that's, of course, when Leighton shows up. And is like, okay, Nog, you can exit this episode now. You've done your job. Great use of him over the first 2 episodes of a way of his Ferengi connectionness is what actually allows Sisko to get to understand what this conspiracy is.
Absolutely.
Without Nog, he never finds out.
Great way to draw him in. This is where we stop being a Vampire the Masquerade episode. When Leighton's like, I'm going to, hot on the heels of the president saying, I need hard evidence, I'm going to have a very frank conversation with you. A, while both of us are wearing cell phones on our shirts.
Yes.
We both have microphones. And B, I'm going to confront you on your territory where you could have a recording device literally anywhere. So what a gentleman's agreement between Leighton and Sisko here. Like, okay, no one's going to record this conversation while I openly admit to treason.
So we get to take us back to something you were saying before about risking your career by taking things up to the line and objecting and, you know, no longer being on the team. They basically have that conversation where Leighton says, like, you were my first officer and you had to learn to follow the commands of the people who are in charge, even when you disagreed vehemently with the decision. And remember when we fought the Zenkethi and you thought I shouldn't take the Okinawa into that nebula to go after those raiders?
What class was the Okinawa, by the way?
Also Excelsior. And you objected, and then you followed me into the ready room and kept objecting, and I basically had to fucking slap your slap slap your dick into the dirt and remind you like there's a point where you need to just do what I fucking tell you to do because I know better and I was right about the Zen Kethy, that we should go into that amoeba and we didn't destroy those raiders. Like again, like you need to listen to what I'm saying and doing. I'm right. It's a great way to like show the relationship between these men. He calls him Ben. Like he likes him a lot. He wants him on his side. He knows that if he gets Sisko on his side, he feels like he's correct. Right? Sisko knows the threat. Sisko should be on his side, but Sisko's like a fucking hard company man at the same time. And the tension there is you need to go along with what I'm doing just like you used to. And this is point. Sisko's like Bentine in that he's seen too much, he's done too much to be able to willing to accept Leighton going as far as he's going.
Now I'm knocked off track here. That is Picard. Picard is a hard in the paint company man. Ben Sisko, fuck what the orders are. I'm gonna get to Defiant and go stick my nose in the Romulan Cardassian attack on Decoy Planet. Sisko, I'm gonna ignore what the admirals say. I'm gonna stay on Deep Space Nine while Skeletor's attack.
He's maybe willing to play fast and loose with the rules to do the right thing. But you said it yourself multiple times. This man cares a lot about the uniform. He cares a lot about trust and telling the truth and representing that uniform correctly. And what is Leighton doing right now is exactly what you're not supposed to do to Ben Sisko, a man who cares a lot about that fucking uniform and what you do in it. He is committing treason. This isn't, I'm going to go and risk the lives of me and my crew to go save someone that's under my command because that's like a moral compromise that I'm willing to make. It's not, I'm going to like interpret my orders just enough so that I can play, footsie terrorism with the Bajorans as they try and seize the station at the beginning of season 2. This is, oh no, you're just straight up committing treason. That's way too far. You're dishonoring your uniform. I think it's very suitable for his character. And I think you've even pointed that out.
I think that Ben Sisko is absolute somebody who will say, I know better than the boss. I understand the scope of what's happening. I care about the people that owe their lives to me, and I'm willing to go off the rails to do the ultimate good. So I think that there was a way for there to be this is a great conversation that he has with him. There's nothing wrong fundamentally. In that, not only there's nothing wrong, it is a great exchange. I'm saying that there is another way that Leighton could have, prior to bringing Sisko out, been like, Ben, you have disobeyed a lot of orders and you've been right, and it has served the greater good. Starfleet doesn't always have the answer. Earth doesn't understand what's happening right on the doorstep of the Gamma Quadrant. And this is another situation where you need to that there's other people that are playing out of your same book, and that we need to take actions that they're not ready for.
And I think in a world where Leighton decides, I'm not going to use Sisko as a patsy, because that's part of the resentment, right? Of like, you used me.
Yeah.
You used my credibility to get what you wanted, and you've left me out in the cold and having to accept what you're doing rather than if he had brought him in from the beginning, be like, listen, Ben, here's the fucking deal, and you're going to be in on it. This is either going to fall apart because you're going to rat me out, or it's going to happen because you're going to help me. But I trust you, so I'm going to tell you. And maybe that is a world where Sisko goes, okay, yeah, no, Admiral Leighton, I believe that this is the thing we have to do. You've convinced me. And he helps the coup. Like, I think you're right that world could have existed, but because of the way it's happened, that he's concealed it, that he used these kids to do this, like, and then he finds out after the fact, there's no chance.
The play, if Leighton had preemptively brought him in and said, you've been a rogue before and I need you to be a rogue now, it would be at some point Sisko has to say, I've been confronted with the truth. This is too far. The fact that you have to stoop to using kids, that tells me that this is something dirty. The fact that my dad has become complacent in this totalitarian practice, and I see that there's a dark future in this. Like, there could have been a good conversation of, you've been dirty, but not dirty, but you've gone off the rails before. I need you off the rails here. and Sisko to say, this is too far.
Mm.
Would that have been a better story than what we get here? Probably not. So I think ultimately, like, this is the right series of events, and exactly what you said. The disrespect shown to Sisko by using him instead of trusting him, using the cadets, going about key points the wrong way, makes Leighton's actions ultimately unpalatable and not feasible as a world direction for the Federation.
We do have. We'll speed run a couple.
Also, real quick
here.
too, the Leighton walking around his dad's restaurant, especially getting shots from the back. The fucking shoulder pads they have in that Admiral uniform look like they came out of a Romulan closet.
Yeah.
This dude's walking around like Kel'Thas from Warcraft with like these floating shoulders and the uniform just draped off of him like a cape, billowing around.
The one scene I hate is the one where the changeling Miles shows up and like has like his impish. Oh, I'm an Irish imp today.
I like that. What was your objection to it?
It's almost like a cartoonish interlude into this. It's better if you don't know what the fuck the changelings are actually up to.
You don't
like having one of them show up and be like, "Oh, look at me! I'm an impish leprechaun." It's like Mr. Mitsaplex showing up, right? Like, just it's better if I don't fucking know what's happening, and there's still this angle of like the changelings are around and no one knows what the fuck is going on.
I loved that episode. The fact that they are so keyed into Ben Sisko as a primary adversary. And it felt almost like a Q moment to me of like, you know, you think things are bad, but let me show you how really bad they are. I'm going to show up. I'm going to rub your face in shit. I'm going to say, hey, look, this is how good we are at what we're doing. There's only 4 of us, and you guys are already doing all of this to yourself. And it's just going to get worse from here. We haven't even started yet, and you guys are already at this point. What a way to demoralize this guy. And again, I give full credit, 100% credit to the writers, that they know exactly what they're doing. And all of these actions that the founders are taking are so rich with espionage and fuckery. Like, we're going to show up. We're going to say there's only 4 of us. This is how bad you fucked yourself. Now, do you go, oh my gosh, we need to stop this because we're playing into their hand, which in the process is going to demilitarize us and arguably make things easier for the Dominion? Are you going to go the opposite direction and try to say, oh, okay, F these guys, like maybe Leighton's right and allow this to go? Like, you don't know what the founders want. All they're doing is just confusing the situation and making life harder. Like, I love that.
I appreciate what you're saying about it and see where the benefit can be seen of having the changelings kind of fuck around and demoralize. But for this story, because it's so dense in like the politics of what's happening and the conspiracy, I just the break in the action to have this happen, I did not personally like. But kind of I get it though, right? It's like, again, would I have necessarily changed anything about this episode? No. You know, like, what would you have done instead? Have more CG fights instead of this moment, which would have been better? I think you're making a compelling argument that having this moment in there, because it's a cheaper way of doing your storytelling, probably helped it.
I also liked Ben Sisko in that moment where he's like, I cannot engage at all with these people. Everything they say is a lie. Everything is a manipulation. I know that firsthand. The fact they're contacting me directly here, like, no good can come of this conversation. And my goal here needs to be to shut this conversation down as fast as possible. Usually, like, people play a little bit like, well, I'm going to see what I can find out from you. You are such a threat to us. I know I cannot get anything positive out of this. And all you're going to do is sow doubt and discord in me. And I just need to get the fuck out of here.
After a brief conversation where we are reminded that the Sisko line are a bunch of womanizers, successful womanizers, Ben decides it's time to take action. Pulls a Kira Nerys and uses a Bajoran like resistance frequency to contact Deep Space Nine and say, "Yo, bitch, we got problems." And get the Defiant. We got some shit to deal with.
I liked Odo getting access to the transfer logs and like Sisko like, How did you cut through all the Starfleet secure? Well, this is just what I've learned from Quark, by the way. Like, this is how terrible your fucking security is. Shout out Tuvok. Also using one of the name of the conspirators as Snowden. Like, how'd you feel about that one?
See it in advance. So yeah, that's where we get the whole, Leighton's putting in people that like are his cadre officers that worked with him, that are willing to probably follow his commands, do what he says. I got to go to Inyo, Jarish Inyo. He goes to the office, and of course Leighton's there waiting because Bentine shows up and basically feels out that he's not giving it up, right? That Sisko's going to stick around. He's going to try and stop this. And when that happens, that's when Leighton sets the trap in Jarish Inyo's office to fake a blood screening test to make it look like he's a changeling. I do love are you going to tell me how you fake the blood test? I guess it doesn't matter, does it?
Like, what a way to spackle a moment.
Yeah. No, I guess it doesn't matter. You did it.
You could have been like, hey, use that wall phaser over there to tag me real quick and let's see if I revert to goo form. But then it's like, okay, now I'm just going to expose Inro to getting zapped here instead of later, because what's he going to do in a room full of Leighton supporters?
The conversation when Sisko is in the holding cell with Leighton is amazing. Again, this is where Leighton is demonstrating that he has a lot of moral pause, that he understands he has crossed a lot of lines and he's about to cross more. He doesn't like it. Makes him more sympathetic, but at the same time not, because Sisko's basically like, why don't you lower the force field and we'll have some death row time? How about that, bud? I'm just fucking done with you. Like, it's violence time now. How long are you gonna keep me? Are you gonna keep me in here forever? Oh, or just until you've committed to your coup, you fucking dick. And he's just taking fire, right? Like, Ben Sisko's not stopping. Like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you is all that's coming out of his head, out of his mouth. And he knows he can't convince him anymore. He's lost the argument and he can't even look at him. And he decides, like, he's like, oh, if you need anything, ask the guards. And he won't even respond to that. Like this, like, I'm not going to hurt you. No, fuck you. I'm hurting you. Love it. Of course, we got to have Odo is a solid object of some kind. And
Bagman
sneaks in, at least against Spackle. Well, it helps that I designed all the security measures, so I know how to beat them. Lol.
The wackest fight of all time. He forms, there's 3 security people. None of them have the quick draw feat. He literally pushes one person unconscious. I think 2. One, I don't know what the hell happened. Another guy, he pushes him backward over a table, and that guy is knocked out forever. And then he grabs the girl by the arm.
Oh, that's how you get him.
And he gives her a Vulcan neck pinch.
Ira Stephen Barrett said, like, this is another spot where this should have been tentacles, and they ran out of money. So they just
You don't have the money for phasers.
Wow. It was supposed to be morph tentacles. Like, whap, 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 whap.
Oh, tentacles. I thought you said tickles.
No. It was whap, 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 whap. And it was like, no, we don't know. Well, just have him form and we'll just do a shitty fight scene where it doesn't have Vulcan.
Oh, because you can't have Odo use a phaser.
Correct.
What if he would have, like, pushed the button on the wall and set the phaser sweep over and, like, it would have targeted them? Would that be Odo using a phaser technically? Or would that be him effectively shooting a red barrel? I think that would have been a red barrel.
No. He's activating the turret. Like, he's still responsible.
It's an environmental kill.
He shot the gun.
You can jump in the comments and say if you think using him to operate a turret would count as a phaser violation for Odo's.
No, I would love some opinions on that. So, anyway, we finally reach the pinnacle of the confrontation. Odo relates, the Defiant's on its way. They did, in fact, find a guy who confessed to faking the opening and closing of the wormhole by using the communication array that they put into place during season 3 to send a false signal through to make it look like a bunch of ships might be going through cloaked. So we finally have a different conspiracy angle to prove. We don't have Red Squad. We have this guy. He's confessed, and Defiant's bringing him to Earth. Odo goes to try and talk to Jarish Ingro, and Sisko goes to confront Leighton. And like you said, he confronts him in the office, and rather than being able to see the entirety of the CG fight between the Lakota, which has a now Captain Bentine in charge, and Worf and the Defiant, we see them arguing each other about what's happening. And you want to create a military dictatorship. It's going to be temporary. It's necessary, to save Earth, to save the Federation. It's a very like high level ideals oriented argument that the two of them have. And again, to go back to Sisko's ideal about like loyalty in the uniform, he goes after him to say, you want to talk to me about loyalty after you broke your oath to the Federation, lied to the people of Earth, and ordered one of our starships to fire on another. You don't have the right. This is his line. Like, you can't do shit like this. Breaking the rules so you can go save somebody because you were kind of ordered not to or whatever. That's one thing. But you went way over the line, and this is where you lose the respect of Benjamin Sisko every time.
Well, it's everybody. Remind me again why the ship with a cloak is not using the cloak as it literally flies in to try to save the foundation of the Federation. Don't give me this, the Romulans made us promise not to bullshit.
Well, they talk about they wanted to cloak after they got into the fight, right? But they couldn't
cloak beforehand. But again, the respect that this episode is able to impress on Starfleet. Inro's refusal to believe that Leighton could be guilty of such heinous crimes. Worf and all the other Starfleet on the Defiant being like, there's no way the Lakota is going to fire on us. Like the true lines of treachery happening here are displayed by people's inability to believe that it's happening. A Federation ship firing on another Federation ship. Like, which to you and I doesn't really seem that crazy. I mean, I feel like it's happened before in TNG a handful of times.
I don't think it did in TNG. I mean, last time it happened for sure was Wrath of Khan, right?
There had to be something in that conspiracy. I don't know.
But this is a Starfleet crew fighting a Starfleet crew. I don't think we've really ever seen that.
Now we got hints that, okay, the Lakota's gone through some upgrades. It's still a goofy thing to like, hey, these little fighters that blew up the Odyssey, a Galaxy class, that were then shithoused by the Defiant, and now the Defiant is going to be given a run for its money by by 100-year-old Excelsior.
Well, like this, it belays some of the things that we know are happening. That's going to pay off in season 5 and with First Contact. Federation has started to take much more seriously its defensive posture, and it has massively started to upgrade the weapons and defensive systems on its ships, building new ships that are more capable in this way, such that they go from getting rolled at Wolf 359 to actually legitimately destroying a Borg cube in Sector 001. Right? Like, huge upgrade when you think about like 4 or 5 years, whatever the time scale is between those two things. Like, oh fuck, like we need to get on it. And so an admiral's flagship having upgraded shields and phasers and quantum torpedoes isn't like actually a huge lift.
The bigger factor here is hesitation on both sides. Like, you are not out to destroy the enemy. You're trying to disable the enemy, and massive punches are being pulled. Yet through that, there is a catastrophic loss of life on both sides. Like, Lakota lost 24, 25 crew members.
Yeah. And the Defiant lost 2. Yeah.
Like, those are huge numbers for a non-lethal,
attempt to be less than lethal fight. Like, where you're really not trying to kill each other, but the haymakers you're throwing are still causing, enough IEDs to go off in each ship that you're losing people. And the fact that that's probably what convinces Benteen to stop, to say, like, there's a real cost of life that's already been paid, and I'm not sure that this is true. This thing I've been kind of put into the middle of, and I'm backing off because I don't. Ultimately, Benteen doesn't believe Leighton. I don't think it's true, and that's why she bails.
Well,
if she actually thought this is a ship full of changelings who are coming to destroy her, she would have done it. She didn't believe it.
She knows it's not. She knows that she's doing conspiracy dirty. She knows. She might not know about the power grid. I think that she probably would as the right hand, but like, this is where she's arriving at the cost is too high. If I'm realistically going to change anything in this episode, it would have been the scene where Benteen feels Sisko out And Sisko makes a plea to her. I would add Sisko making a plea to her, like, this shit's wrong.
They kind of try to do that with the conversation that they had. There is a moment before he gets put in prison where he's like kind of talking to her about what's happening around without being very explicit, but it doesn't go far enough. I agree. Like, there needed to be a, like, you fucking know what you're up to. You know what you're involved with.
Sisko's ability to be a disruptor and a reminder to everybody wearing a uniform, like, I am doing the right thing and you should be doing the right thing too. And my true danger to Leighton is not only in the fact that I'm an adept investigator, but I'm a powerful moral force. I'm what the Dominion fears in the Federation, and that is hope and the right way and goodness. And now, Leighton's acting on fear and being bad, and that I can be, in this episode, a beacon to sway officers back onto the path. Whatever. In the end, she makes the right decision. She lets the Defiant slip through, and at this point, Leighton now knows that he is fully fucked.
He takes off the Admiral bars, puts them on the table, and he actually, like, in it, kind of like a final near redemptive moment on his part. He says, I can still make a fight of it. I can do this. Sisko's like, oh, what? You want to commit to a civil war? That's the plan? That's what you want to do? And he finally admits, okay, I'm beaten. I'm going to go turn myself in, basically. Right? And I'm going to do it in front of you because, okay. We opened Pandora's box together, right? It had that great line, like, you wondering where this is going to go. Well, you aren't telling the Defiant to back off. You are not listening to me. So whatever happens next, we're doing it together. And he admits defeat, puts his bars down, and goes to turn himself in. And I like that Sisko kind of like is kind of stuck with it and has him in his hands of like, I just kind of killed the man who made me. I killed his career. Probably putting him in prison. And maybe he was right. Maybe there was something to what he was doing. But at the same time, like, I'm feeling the weight of my decisions, just a moment. And we don't have a lot of explicit wrap up of what happens to Leighton after this. Beta Cannon comes in and says he basically breaks rocks in New Zealand for a while. Bentine gets demoted back to commander, but is ultimately like exonerated that she didn't really know what was going on. So that's
Beta Cannon, or
that's Beta Cannon.
So you're telling me that Leighton doesn't pop up anymore in this show?
No,
really? Because I would have put money that Leighton is going to be shunted off by further conspiracy and join the Maquis.
No, I think if you were going to bring him back in, there was probably going to be, there's an opportunity that this episode introduces that they actually use a lot going into the 7th season, where he could have shown back up. But I think by then they were already had Admiral Ross as like their regular admiral figure, and there was no need to bring Leighton back into the picture.
Shame.
But I at the same time, I don't need too much, right? It delivered on what it needed to do, which is, here we have the moment where the Federation has to start to confront itself. Deep Space Nine is a story about the ideals of the Federation being horrifically tested over the course of having to fight a war for its own survival, and what the costs of that are. And this is the first battle, really, is how much are they willing to destroy themselves? And then, to your point, what line do we end the episode on? Benjamin Sisko saying, if the Changeling wants to destroy what we've built here, they're going to have to do it themselves. We won't do it for them. Oh, really?
That whole exit sequence, by the way, where he just goes 2 to beam up without ever hitting his comm badge. Am I led to believe that there is a transporter room guy that's just listening to his entire goodbye with his dad? He's like, come on, man, please just give me the order. So there's a real part of me, there's show budget constraints and this and that, where it's like, there's so many people that this Deep Space Nine Cardassian Dominion story touched that, like, ultimately are at some degree vindicated and proved right. Captain, what was his name? Benjamin
Maxwell.
This guy, there's so many people that could have been Thomas Riker that could have been tapped and pulled back and like, all right, we're desperate now. You guys, we need you on the front lines. But
I mean, with the show with this many recurring characters, I kind of get to the point where you're like, how much more of this can we really do? But
a lot.
They do a lot, man. They just do so much.
All right, well, we'll see.
It's so dense. It's like, I don't know how much opportunity there was, but what there is an opportunity for is for us to review another episode of Deep Space Nine next week. What are we going to watch?
We're going to go into season 4, episode 13, Crossfire. Directed by Les Landau, written by Renee Echeverria. Odo must face his feelings for Kira when she falls in love with First Minister Shakar, her former resistance leader. Oh yeah, her older brother. That's this thing, huh?
Yeah. We're gonna kind of revisit some personal plot here, but like, I think again with the Odo Kira stuff, it's super well done, and we've had no complaints so far with how they developed this, and I remember thinking well of this on that basis. So I'll be excited to revisit it with you. It's definitely like we're taking a step back from the meta to go back to personal plot.
Sure.
But the show's been very good at that, so I welcome it. And thanks again to all of you out there listening, interacting, reviewing, liking, thumbs upping, sharing, V'ger please, writing us emails, telling us to review Hellraiser and being very correct about that. We thank you for all of your interactions. We're on Discord, we're on Facebook, we're at Twitter at V'ger please, and anything you do to promote and share the show, we appreciate. See you again soon.